Hello everyone, here are 5 creepy true Stalker stories. Make sure you drop a like because it really helps me out. This video is a collaboration with the guy that runs a channel called Unit 522. I will leave a link to his channel in the description below. Make sure you check him out. Let's begin. Number 1.
It all started in high school. A few weeks in, I had a few friends and was keen on making more. So I tried to talk to everyone that I could. I was still somewhat new to the school, and one day, I got lost. So I met the guy who would later become my stalker, and he showed me around. We made conversation, and at first, I thought he would be nice to have as a friend. A week passed, and I had a few friends at this point, and I wanted to hang out with them as much as I could. I felt a little bad because my newest friend was a bit lonelier, so I invited him to come hang out with us. He didn't talk much at first, but then he started talking more and more, mostly to me, asking advice on life, and I was happy to help, until he started asking me to pat his head like a dog and make him a leash. It was a bit weird, you might say, and I just passed it off as a joke, and I humored him, something that I should not have done, as he started calling me master or mistress. I asked him not to do that, and I told him that I wasn't comfortable with his behavior, but it was apparently too late to fix things. It happened day after day. He started skipping his classes to walk into and get kicked out of mine. He followed me all day, and if I had to use the restroom, guess who would follow me inside? I asked him to stop many times, but he wouldn't, so I got the school involved. Well, I tried, but they had no proof of stalking. I found that kind of strange because many teachers have kicked him out of my classes, but nevertheless, nothing happened. I asked one of my guy friends to help me out with some homework that night. My stalker was listening in from the hallway and didn't like who I asked for help. This occurrence happened numerous times before I just snapped at him. He fought every single male that I would talk to. Some would find this flattering, but I found it annoying. I tried to tell him not to worry, that we were just friends, but his exact words were, "They don't deserve you. They are worthless compared to my master." I tried to get him to stop. I yelled at him, and I do feel bad because it was quite harsh, but it was the only way that I could get it through his thick head. I was finally free from that cycle. He'd finally stopped following me. Until one day, I found this letter in my locker. In the letter, my stalker gave his disgust for males, and how he hated himself, and that he must be evil for his master treats him this way, and that he must be punished, and that I must be taught not to shun pets. It was a few pages long, and it was very scary. In fact, it was the most terrifying thing I've ever read, especially when I got done reading the letter and looked up and saw him staring at me from down the hall. He walked up to me and opened his phone and started showing me pictures. It was of this cartoon character who had a similar appearance to me. He then gave me a leash for him and asked me to walk him around. At that point, I ran away to the office, letter in hand. The principal, after 5 visits, finally had the fucking proof he needed and agreed to step in. The cops got involved, and soon after, a restraining order was put in place. He wasn't allowed to be within 50 feet of me. About a month later, I was in my bedroom doing some homework when I heard a scratch at the window. I looked over, and to my horror, he was standing just outside my bedroom window. He had a collar on his neck, and a leash was dangling down from it, and he was intensely glaring at me. His face then crooked into a disgusting grin. He then licked the surface of the window and ran off. Thankfully, I moved out of that town a month later, and I still have nightmares about this incident.
Number 2. Okay, this happened when I was 9. I had left school early because my brother and his friend Sally, who were both 7 at the time, had a ballet performance later that day. I was with them and Sally's mum and auntie. I did not look like I was with them. My brother is very dark-skinned and looked like he could have been Sally's sibling. Myself, on the other hand, I am pasty, almost sickly looking, and we would often get stares when I was with them. So we are sat on the bus, 9-year-old me in my school uniform. It was a grey knee-length skirt, white shirt, and my red jumper that I had tied around my waist. I was sat alone. I had my lunchbox on the seat next to me and I was minding my own business. About halfway through our 30-minute journey to the theatre where my brother was performing, a guy gets on the bus. He was very stereotypical creeper type, overweight, smelled unclean, baggy, dirty clothes and scruffy facial hair. He comes up the stairs and stands over the seat next to me. I didn't realize that there were plenty of empty seats, so I moved my lunch bag because I was thinking he needed the seat. He sat very close to me and I could feel his eyes on me. I was uncomfortable, but being the shy kid I was, I didn't say anything. He sat next to me for a good 10 minutes. Then, his demeanor changed. He looked around quickly and moved his hand towards my leg. That's when Sally's mum, who was sat on the seat behind him, hit him around the head with her umbrella and said in her heavy German accent, "Stop looking at her legs, you dirty pig." He moved. Looking at him, I don't think he had ever moved that fast in his life. The rest of the journey was okay. I was shaken but relieved that my German superwoman had seen what he was about to do. As we got off the bus, I looked up at him and he gave me a nasty smile and winked. I hurried off the bus and pretended like it never happened. I saw him on that bus every day for the next year, until he just randomly disappeared. A few years down the line, while searching for a news piece on a local news website, I came across a mugshot of the exact man with that same nasty grin. The article explained that he had been caught with child pornography and later admitted to the rape of a 5-year-old girl. I did attempt to relocate the article, but it was some years ago that it happened and I was unable to find it. It's very scary just to think about it. I still can't believe that for a whole year I have been stalked by this guy. The worst part about this story is that this guy that was stalking me for a whole year in that same bus is in fact a rapist. I just can't get it off my mind. I consider myself lucky that I'm still alive today, and I am very sorry for the 5-year-old girl and all the other victims of that creeper. Number 3.
This is going to be a little different, because I'm usually the type of person who's being written about in these stories. I've liked this girl for the past 7 years, and I still find myself drooling over her pictures. I just can't seem to get over the fact that she doesn't like me. She's never been nice to me, but I still like her. Everything she says just makes me laugh, and I love being around her, but she has never liked me back, and kept telling me that we would never, ever end up together. This didn't break my heart or anything, because in my mind I knew that we were meant to be, and that we would indeed end up together someday. That thought is long gone now. Well, not really, but I still can't help but liking her. I still look through her Facebook page every now and then, and I still look for her face in every single car that drives by me. I used to stalk her family profiles just to see if there were any pictures of her, because you can imagine that she blocked me after I sent countless messages to her. But she lives kind of far away now, so I plan on moving closer to her. I know I sound like a creep, but that's because somebody like you probably wouldn't understand. I still manage to view her Facebook page through another account that I've set up. Whenever there is another guy who's liking a picture of her, posting a picture of her, or adding her as a friend, I immediately assume something is going on between them. So I just stalk them too. I look through all their pictures and keep myself updated on every time something happens to their profile. I know about all of her friends. I know everything. I fight back the urge almost every day to try to write her again. I just keep thinking about her all the time. I know everything about her. I know which friends post pictures of her. I know almost everything.
Number 4. One night, at least 2 years ago, I had my friends over from school for a party. There were 5 of us. 3 of us were 14 and the other 2 15. Since my Xbox was in the basement, we all stayed down there. At around 3 AM, we were watching The Haunting in Connecticut too. Pretty stupid movie if you ask me. Every 20 minutes it is disconnected from Xbox Live. I was really tired and the 3 of us wanted to go to sleep. It was really hot and sweaty down there, so I went up the kitchen to get a drink. Of course, I was scared to go alone, so I asked someone else to go up with me. One of them said they would go up, but only if they got the vanilla wafers. We both walked up there, and I decided to go to the bathroom first. After I did my business, I found that my friend was already downstairs. "Oh, come on," I whispered. So, I speed walked to the fridge as fast as I could. I opened it up slowly to not wake anyone up since the fridge was really loud. I grabbed a glass and a gallon of milk. I began pouring, but then the fridge slammed really loud. I turned around and I saw a man. He had a sweatshirt on and yoga pants. He also had a hat. He walked straight to the front door and got into a car. He sped off really fast and I never saw him again. I went to my mum and told her what happened. She told me to go to the basement and do not come up. I told my friends, but they didn't believe me, of course. Once the police showed up, they started freaking out. The next day, or, well, literally the same day, I asked my mum many questions about what happened, and she just avoided them. To this day, I have no idea what happened. That guy was probably stalking me, and God knows how long he's been with me to that house. Anyways, just wanted to get that off my chest. Number 5.
This was about 4 years ago, when I was pregnant with my 3rd daughter. My husband, kids, and I just moved to the big city. I've always been a quiet, stick-to-myself type of person, and moving to such a huge place really stressed me out. It took me months before I finally ventured out on my own, because I was terrified of driving in such a foreign place. Plus, I was also scared of the area that we moved to. 3 murders happened the same day we moved there. So I was worried about carjackings, shootings, rapes, and every other thing that comes with the big city. I rarely went out of the house, and I made my husband believe that I developed OCD from how many times I checked the door and window locks. Yeah, I was pretty on edge. Fast forward a few months and we moved to a new neighborhood. Not the best, but certainly a few steps up from where we were. I slowly started getting out of the house more and more, and I would even stay out when it was getting dark. I resumed my daily life, trying not to worry about getting carjacked or shot in broad daylight, and eventually I found a job at a funeral home. Working at the funeral home was great, with only occasional nope moments mixed in here and there, but the hours were long and inconsistent. Some nights I would get home around 5 p.m., and other nights I wouldn't get home until 2 a.m. It was one of those nights where I had to work late. I got off around 1:30 a.m. I got a text from my husband telling me to pick up some milk on my way home from work. I stopped at the closest Walmart and went in for some milk. However, being a female, I decided I needed about 50 other items while I went about my shopping. While strolling down the dairy aisle, I accidentally bumped into a man. His appearance kind of unnerved me. He was tall, with long, dirty hair covered in dirt and grime. His clothes were threadbare, and his pants would barely stay up on his thin frame. Now keep in mind, I wasn't used to seeing homeless people, but I assumed that he was. I apologized and went about my way. Several aisles over, I passed him again. He smiles at me, but in a creepy sort of way. Whatever, I just shrugged it off and kept shopping. About 10 minutes passed, and I was walking down the cosmetics aisle. I stopped to grab a few things, and then I turned around. The same guy was standing about 4 feet away from me. He doesn't look at me directly, but I can feel him staring out of the corner of his eye. That was my cue to get the fuck out of there. I turned my cart and practically ran to the checkout counter. As I'm unloading my shopping cart, he comes to the same register, and then he kept throwing things over the little divider that I put behind my stuff. I moved his things back, and then he put his hands on mine and asked me to stop. This pissed me off, and so I asked him what his deal was. Then he said, "Can you pay for my stuff?" I realized that he had been watching me shopping, and since I was dressed nicely, he probably assumed that I had a lot of money. I politely told him no, and then waited for the cashier to ring up the rest of my items. 2 more people came to that same register, and he began asking them if they could pay for his stuff as well. "The nice girl in front of me already said that she'll pay for half of it," he tells them. At this point, I'm already paying for my stuff, so I turned to him and firmly said, "No." He and the other customers glared at me, and then he begins cursing and yelling at me. "This fucking bitch lied to me. She lied to me. She said she would help me." I tell him to fuck off, and that I'm too tired to deal with his shit, and that he should get a job and pay for his own stuff, which happened to be condoms, paper towels, cleaners, etc. And by the way, I might have said yes if it was just some food. I turn to leave, and then he grabs my arm and growls at me. "You're not going anywhere until you pay for this. I'll call the cops on you." I slap his hand off of me and tell him to go fuck himself. And then I stormed off towards the exit. I quickly get to my car, throw my stuff in the back seat, and shove the cart in the opposite direction. I jump in and start the car. When I was backing up, I noticed a beaten-up Camaro turned its lights on behind me. I hauled ass out of that parking lot, and so does the Camaro. I started driving towards home, but I had a gut feeling that I should take a different route. I wasn't sure this car was actually following me at this point. After all, it is a big city, and there's usually lots of cars heading the same direction as you are, but as I kept checking my rearview mirror, I had a bad feeling every time I saw that car. My suspicions were confirmed when I drove through my work's cemetery, and so did they. I called my husband and told him, "I think someone is following me." He advised me to get home ASAP, and that he would call the cops. I sped towards the house, making unnecessary turns, all with this creep right behind me. I can now hear him screaming at me. He begins hanging his head out of his window, waving his arm and telling me to pull over. He sped up parallel with me and tried to cut me off, but I slammed on the brakes and moved around him. He continues trying to get behind me, screaming and yelling obscenities. And then he started throwing stuff at my car. At this point, I'm sobbing. I'm a nervous wreck, scared to death that I'm going to get into an accident, and this creep is going to do God knows what with me. I'm almost home now, coming close to my turn, when I realized something that made my stomach drop. I live in a gated community. Now this might not sound too bad, except for the fact that you have to wait for the gate to open. I have to sit there for up to 30 seconds and wait for the automatic gate to open wide enough for me to drive through, and it will continue to stay open for a couple of minutes. I call my husband again and begin screaming for him to get out here now. I turn into the entrance and the gate is already open. I speed through, worried that it might close before I can get to it, and luckily for me, it didn't. However, the creepy guy is still on my ass. I don't really know what to do, so I lay down the horn and pray that my husband is on his way to the gate and park the car. The guy slows down and turns off his headlights. He parks about 20 feet behind me. I hear his car door open. In the dark, I see him walking towards my car, holding something in his hand that looked like maybe a crowbar or a pipe of some sort. One of our neighbor's patio lights came on, and I see my husband running towards us, holding his shotgun. He lets off one round in the guy's direction. He screams for him to get the fuck out of here, and then shoots again. The guy ran back to his car, and then he quickly puts it in reverse. As he backed up, he hit one of the neighbor's cars before speeding out of there. I never saw him again, but for the next 6 months, I'd occasionally see a beat-up old Camaro hanging out at the end of my street. Since then, we've moved again. My husband gave me a 9mm handgun to keep in the car, just in case. Creepy homeless guy? Let's never meet again.
Thank you for watching this video. Make sure you leave a like and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Be sure to check out Unit 522. His link is in the description below. And remember, it can happen to anybody, including you. Sweet dreams.